What happens when you take a group of 6-year-old children out on a camping trip, and one of them turns out to be a complete murderous sociopath? All the adults that are associated with this trip are completely inept, and everybody just kind of ends up dying. You get The Laws of the Skies, which is a short novel by French author Gregoire Courtois. Very French. I did basically pretty much just sum up the whole book, but let me just dive a little further into that. So we have a group of school children who are all in the same class. They are all 6 years old. They are taken by 3 different adults as their chaperones to go for a weekend camping trip out in the woods. And this trip slowly turns into a nightmare. One of the children ends up murdering one of the head chaperones. The other 2 chaperones are women who, one gets sick. So the one who's not sick escorts her to the road where she has her husband come and pick this woman up. But her husband's drunk, and he ends up getting both of them killed, and then she gets lost in the woods. And this murderous student just goes on a complete rampage, hunting down all the rest of these 6-year-olds as they are hiding in the woods, trying to escape this. Some of them die by him, some of them die by their own faults. And it doesn't really hold back on much. I found this through a recommendation of more extreme horror books. And so the violence in this is pretty ramped up. It really doesn't hold anything back. It's on the shorter side, about 150 pages, which I think is good. It's a very Lord of the Flies-esque type of story where, societal norms and things like that all tend to break down pretty rapidly when a group of people are faced with a person who doesn't abide by those same rules and tends to kind of do what they want. It also has a lot to do with nature and the uncaring nature of nature, if that makes any sense. A lot of these children and the adults end up dying just from tripping on rocks or by drowning or things like that. And in a situation where all they're trying to do is escape, the natural world is working against them with no care at all. I think overall this was fine. I wasn't blown away by it. Thankfully, it was very short because I think any longer and I may have DNF'd it. It's written really well, I have to say. The prose in this is very good. It's above average, which could be viewed as a positive. I think that there were times in it where it was rambling on a lot, and for this being so short, that was confusing to me. The structure is really weird. It would seemingly jump from character to character just instantly. And there were so many times where I was lost and confused because I just wasn't sure what character I was following at the moment. I thought I was following this character, but now I'm over on this one. So it could get you could get lost pretty easily. I think probably the biggest gripe for me, though, is that this is a book about a group of 6-year-olds. And we get a lot of internal monologues from a majority of these children. And it just seemed to me, maybe these are the smartest 6-year-olds on the planet, but they didn't feel 6. They felt much older, older teenagers, 18, 19, maybe. It did not feel like 6-year-olds. They felt incredibly independent, and their thoughts were just so advanced that it took me out of it completely. I kept asking myself, these are 6-year-olds? There's no way these are 6-year-olds. On top of that, there's also just a lot of absurdity happening. One of the major plot points is that the male chaperone gets murdered by one of the kids around a campfire, which, okay, maybe a 6-year-old could murder a full-grown man with a rock. But that is allowed to happen because the other 2 female chaperones are gone. One gets sick, so the other one calls her husband to have him come and pick this sick female up. Her husband, because his wife and child are gone on this camping trip, he's drunk. So he's drunk driving down these winding, dark forest roads to get to this campsite. And from that point, once he picks up this woman, he then starts to drive them home, where he proceeds to try to, I guess, come on to her while she's in this sick state. He is so drunk that he doesn't really seem to know what he's doing. He crashes the car into a pond and kills both of them. That whole plot line just seemed like too much on top of this. And maybe that's what was weird about it. This is one of those books that's considered extreme horror, and there is some pretty extreme horror, pretty brutal elements to it. One specifically being towards the end, the kid who has been killing everybody gets tied up by another of the kids. This brave child tackles him to the ground and ties him to a pole, and a boar shows up and he eats this kid alive while he's strapped to this pole. And it's really gnarly. It's also one of the best parts of the book, which is kind of sick to say, but it was, that was the most extreme part. Everything else just kind of didn't make a lot of sense. It felt very nonsensical. There are some other gnarly things that happen, and sad things that really, they stick out. But I think as a whole, the book just felt a little unbelievable. When I think it's trying to be believable. After the female chaperone hands off the sick chaperone to her drunk driving husband, she then walks back to the campsite but gets lost and never finds her way back. I mean, where is this campsite that it's so far away that she can't find it in the dark? I was just struggling throughout it to just try and find the logic or sense in anything that was happening. So it really did take away from my enjoyment of it a lot. But again, with it being 150 pages, I think it gets away with a lot. I don't think that it's the worst thing I've ever read. It just felt very mediocre for what it was trying to be. I think it was trying to be more shocking and violent, and I don't think that it made enough sense for those things to be super impactful, at least for me. Overall, I would give Laws of the Skies a 3 out of 5. The things that work for it work really well. I think that it does have some moments in it that are pretty gnarly and that stick out and have stuck with me. But the rest of it, I feel like, was just pretty nonsensical, or just flat out confusing. And so for that reason, I'm not going to say that I would recommend reading it. It is short if you want to give it a shot, but, not totally my cup of tea. But what do you think? Have you read The Laws of the Skies? Do you think it's better than what I think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Sound off in the comments below. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and as always, thank you for watching. Bye. Mwah.